Good morning. It's August 3rd, 78 miles left. We're going to see if we can knock out a 30 today. Out here. We're back up in the 3000s, and don't I know it, these mountains are just, I don't know, laying out before me. I'm thinking 18 is not a bad day today. Well, actually 19. We'll see out here. Still above 3,000 feet. Still climbing out here. I'm told that this next shelter, the one at 19 miles, is the most popular one. It has a swimming hole right in front of it. And the person I just passed was talking about, well, they just passed me, was talking about going swimming and everything. And I thought to myself, you know what? I should stop and take in that kind of stuff. To be honest with you, I don't know why I'm trying to do 30s. I mean, the trail will take care of itself. Ain't no sense in trying to break protocol, and do a mad dash the last week. What's the point in that? If I crank out, if I do what I'm doing right now at my own pace, just letting the trail lead the way, I'll summit on Friday. Okay, that's no big deal. Friday, yeah, and the ranger station will be open. There'd be no problem as far as checking the books and getting my numbers. And today's Monday, so hey, it's like I can chill, So I'm thinking I'm going to do it that way. I'm just going to savor in these last couple days I got left on the trail and just, what's the word? Take it in, I guess. Take it in. It hasn't been raining. That's a blessing. I got no reason to go running up out of here. So as long as the weather and the trail cooperates, we'll take it easy and enjoy the hike out here. By the way, Friday would be August 7th. If I were to summit it, I would summit on August 7th on Friday, which is odd because that would be a day less than when I summited back in 05, which is uncanny. But we'll see when I get there out here. This is checkpoint Alpha, 7.2 miles in on an 18.9 mile day out here. I got right about 3 days left here in the woods, and I'm just sitting here thinking that there's no point in me keeping this tent. I mean, right now it's just a 5-pound pillow, and I'm too gun shy and I'm too close to the end to probably pitch it again. What do I mean by gun shy? Well, I don't want to be stuck in the wilderness with a wet tent, and I would always be apprehensive about pitching a tent thinking it's going to rain. I'm thinking I'll just leave it in the shelter with a note, just pay it forward. That's what I always do. I rarely, I've never left the trail with what I came with. The only thing I'll probably keep is a sleeping bag and this pack. Everything else, from the water hydration to the stove, I just donate. I give to someone else. That's like I said. That's my way of blessing the next hiker. And like I said, I don't. Most of my gear is top notch, so at least they have a choice. Yeah, it's a 5-pound tent, but that's not to say that someone such as myself, a big person, wouldn't like it, or a couple may look at it and be like, well, this is a lot better than ours, let's switch it out. So I figure as I go forward with probably what 2-3 more shelters left, I'll just leave a little something behind. I'll start by leaving my tent in this one, and then maybe the next one I'll leave my Gore-Tex rain pants or something else. And because like I said, A-Ball Bridge, it's still inside the 100-mile wilderness, but it's the last 10 miles. At that point, I mean, you know, I won't need a stove anymore. I'll donate that. Just like I said, just keep letting it go. So basically, they say you don't need your gear when you get to Mount Katahdin. You can just slack pack. Well, my pack is going to already be slack enough. I'll just pretty much have a computer and a sleeping bag. And the only reason why I'm keeping my sleeping bag is, number one, Greyhound can get cold, and so that bag will be good to cover up with if they go crazy with their air conditions. But I bought that bag in 2012, and it's about done. Like I said, it was a 0 degree in 2012. This year it may have been 25 degrees. And it's funny how because down it just migrates. So you get part of the bag that's like there's nothing there, and the other part is whatever. But so I can definitely let that go as well. But like I said, I'm gonna keep it until it's of no more use to me. Even my Crocs, I'll let those go. I mean, you only need Crocs for out here, as far as I'm concerned. So I've always made a point, you know, I'll buy everything fresh, and I'll just let it go when it's time to let it go. I've often said every time I leave the trail, I leave with the intentions never to come back. So it's easy for me to let my gear go. But at the same time, anytime I come back to the trail, I always look for state of the art. So if I ever come back, you know I will never buy Jetboil. You know I will never shop at REI. And, you know, REI brand, things of that nature. So it's just all these things I'm just going to keep on the forefront of my mind. So it makes it easier for me to donate that stuff. And I'm sure the next person will appreciate it. And that's what it's all about, paying it forward. You know, southbounders see it and be like, hey, and they can have that for the rest of their hike going the other way. If I wasn't so much in love with this pack, I would donate it. But nah, I'm gonna keep the pack. Yeah. All right, out here. I'm hiking amid 2, 4, 6. I'm hiking amid 6 hikers that all say they started from Georgia. I met them at various parts of the trail. The earliest one I met was Virginia in Shenandoah. Everybody else, they just came on as I passed through. So just to give you an idea, I'm not alone here. There are 6 other people with me that came from Georgia, as they say. I couldn't tell you if the Yellow Blaze, don't know anything about it. I'm just telling you what they said, and I'm putting it back to you. Just to let you know that, hey, I'm not alone out here. This is Checkpoint Bravo. This is like 11.5 miles in. 66 miles from the terminus, and this is me leaving behind my 5-pound, 12-ounce tent out here. I left a note in the log telling anyone that wants it and letting them know the spirit in which I've done it. Leaving it for a southbounder, paying it forward. Maybe it's a little bit better than what they have, and it served me well. So there you have it out here. I'm 8 miles away from my terminus. It is 12:13 out here. 350. Let's go take a look at the shelter out here. Shelter's a shack, no matter how you look at it. It's weird because it's the best place here, but it's the worst shelter so far. There's people here. Actually, what's funny is I'm probably looking at 15 different girls in swimsuits just laying here. No, none of them are hikers. There's tents everywhere. This place reminds me of like day 2 at like Hawk Mountain or something with all the tents and whatnot. And this is just by the shelter itself. Right now, I'm the only hiker that's going to be in the shelter. So, anyway, it's pretty enough out here. Good morning. I'm close enough to the end now where I can start to formulate a plan. I'm 59 miles away from the summit. Today is August 4th. There's a shelter 29.5 miles away from here. I'm gonna go there tonight. That's 3 miles away from the camp store and 8 Ball Bridge. So that morning I can hike out. I can go to the camp store, wait for them to open, eat some breakfast, dump my stove in a hiker's box or anything else I don't need, and then hike the 10 miles into the park, and then 5 miles to the summit, and then back again. So pretty much, if that's the case, if we can make that happen, then I'll summit on the 5th, which is tomorrow. So we'll see what happens out here. By the way, it poured down last night. I mean, cats and dogs. I went on ahead and donated my cold weather gear and my rain gear, my parka, the Gore-Tex. I donated that at the last shelter as well. So right now it feels like I'm slack packing. I am light. So like I said before, the purpose of this stuff is to pay it forward, because once I get to the ranger station, and I've done it in the past, I asked, you make a slack pack because you don't have to take your pack to the top, and you leave your stuff at the ranger station, but it's still your responsibility to pick it up. So what happens is you end up throwing it in the back of your car, and it just stays there, and until whatever. This way, at least I know hikers are getting the stuff, and it's not just going to waste. And I guess the benefit for me is I just get to move that much lighter, I suppose, out here. As much as I am ready for this to be over, I do realize that the trail is not my enemy. If anything, it's a facilitator of sorts. I've often said, and I wrote about it in one of my books called The Quickening, that one is the sum of all things. Now, it doesn't end there, but you got to think about the reality that we're in right now, okay? One is the sum of all things, to say that no matter what you do in life, it's going to be related to you in an intimate way, a kinship. There is a part of you that is connected to that. For example, hiking this trail is no different than walking through the chambers of your own mind, because that's what it does. When you're hiking this trail and you're just zoning out, that's no difference than you just going through your mind with a singularity, like a torch, just exploring the chambers of your own mind, because eventually this falls away. You'll stop hearing the birds. You'll stop seeing the green. You'll stop seeing the trees. Everything is going to fade to that oneness. And that oneness is going to fade to the background. And what's going to come forward is consciousness, where you're there, but you're not there. You hear, but you don't hear. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're driving a car, whether you're listening to an iPod, everything we do fades to that one singularity. It sums it all up. And when people get stressed out, when they can't take it, what happens is they fall out of rhythm. They fall out of sync. They fall out of singularity with what's going on, and so they can't equate stuff. The brain can't put it together because there's too many things that's airing it. You know, you're all over the place. You're manic, all right? But if you hold on to that concept that one is the sum of all things, then what you do is you go into things with an acceptance. You let it in. You let it in because you know, number one, it's going to affect you anyway. And the sooner you let it in, the clarity starts. You start to understand. You start to build a harmony. And I'm babbling. But yeah, I'm ready for this to be over because, as you know, I've been walking through my mind for the last 5.5 months. And I'm itching to get started with some new things, with new concepts, new ideas. A whole new future, a whole new path is laid out before me. And I had 5 months to work that out. So it's perfect, you know. It's like I said before, you never leave the trail the same person that you came. Whether you finish or not, it's not important. Sometimes there's a vision, there's a memory, there's a purpose for you that gets stuck in your head. And the only way to find it is to come, not necessarily to the trail, but to do something, to go someplace where you can free that thought. That's what the trail has done for me, and that's what it's done in the past. And that's why I've always used the trail as a pivot point when I'm ready to make a change in my life, to come here and just make sure it's clear and solid. You got me? Out here. By the way, I had an out-of-body experience last night, and I finally saw a moose. It was nighttime, of course, and I approached him from behind, and he was on the trail, he, she, whatever. And believe it or not, it was pooping. When you're in your astral body, as they call it, your aura emits a faint light, enough light for you to see. But unfortunately, most animals can see into that spectrum. So even though I approached from behind, I'm certain that at some point it either sensed my presence or saw the light, because it turned around. And in the minute it saw me or my presence or my aura or whatever, it just bolted, you know. But I don't know if I can count that as a legitimate moose sighting or not. But it's just that it was on my heart to see one because I haven't seen one. I guess I just willed myself. I don't know. That was odd. I just thought I'd share it. Could have been a dream. Who knows? Out here. By the way, I started hiking at 5:30. That's why everything is so dark. See that ray of light shining through? I wonder if there's an angel on the other side of that. This is checkpoint Alpha. If I'm not mistaken, it's 11 miles in. Matter of fact, let me check on that. All right, that shelter was 11.7. We'll call it 12 miles away. So I've just got 12 miles underfoot. The next shelter is 10 miles. So let's knock that out here. That inspires confidence. I'm liking the light here, since we haven't seen any. Really, today? Oh. Yes, I'm on the trail. This is checkpoint Bravo. This is
What you guys doing?
how you doing? This is 22 miles in out here.